So this is a recap of the session that myself, Michelle, Matt, and Miriam had today with GoToMeeting. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, so I'm doing a quick recap video on what we sort of talked about and sort of thought processes and some ideas that we had. We're going to do another session next Thursday at 11 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. Hopefully it should work because I'll be on the road and hopefully have a good internet connection. But this is basically what we talked about. This is the short version, which I guess maybe is a good way to do things. Is we talked about a strategy for adding apps for clients, as we understand that it's going to be really important going forward. The role of technology is going to grow in importance. And I put down the sort of the 3 steps that we've done in the past. We do a Skype video screen share to understand the current processes, like what software they're using, how are they using them. And then we'll also have them explain to us features that are missing in the current software or problems that they have with the software that they can explain to us and show to us actually on that screen. And then everything was recorded in a video, so when we actually do our analysis, or I have one of my staff do the analysis of apps to do some investigative work into, we have that video for them to reference. All right. That also provides a little bit of backup, right? So if the client ever comes back to us and says, well, I didn't ask for that, we have the video to say, well, actually, you did ask for it, or you admitted to tell us that you needed that particular feature. The second step would be part of the same discussion, really, is understanding the internal costs of manual work before integration. And we talked about this in Mark's video last week about, in particular, I had a payroll client who spends a ton of money on payroll as a soft cost, right? It's their staff's time to run payroll. And then the other thing that came out of our discussion today is because there's a whole variety of apps, we have to create some generalized pricing, and then really we might even tweak our pricing in Mark's software based on the complexity or requirements of the client. But we want some, we agreed that we can break down the apps into some different categories, really is what it is. And the other thing I'll mention too is for next Thursday, we're actually going to go over the bookkeeping pricing module of Mark's software. Just because I'm struggling with it a little bit and I need to spend more time playing around with it, but I thought if we can share information specifically about what I'm interested to know about is banded pricing. So if you're doing all the AP side, for example, and you're doing like 500 transactions a month with accrual accounting, what does that look like from source documents versus, hey, you're going to be doing bookkeeping for a client and they're using bank and credit card statements only, what does that look like? And I have some ideas around that. I actually sort of built that in here based on the example of a client that I had, because when I used Mark's software, the price came out to $2,000. They're currently paying $500. We want to get them to $1,000 and higher, and I'm probably looking at trying to add in some other things. But that's a bit of a work in progress. But I'd love to share some actual real world examples. I'm just actually going to put this in here. So Michelle said she would charge $12.50 for this type of client. So that that's great information. And I neglected to ask what would be included in that. Would there be, like in Canada, we've got WCB, Workers' Compensation Board insurance. Would that include sales tax filing? We didn't get into that, but maybe we'll get into that next week. Anyways, I'm digressing. So one thing I mentioned, I think in an earlier video, is we have a number of templates that we use for doing software like app assessments. So having 5 features is too much. We have 3. You group together all the try and provide some commonality among the features the client's looking for. You then rate them, and then you simply go onto the software or the app provider's website and you get as much information as you can, and then you follow up with a phone call and get the rest of the information. So, and then we, I had another example. So this is a fairly complex one. They actually wanted us to do a Xero versus QuickBooks Online integration as well. And so I think I've shared some of these with you. Here's another one that was fairly complex. Yeah. So anyways, getting to Mark's software, which is the point of this video, is one thing that So we went in first of all, and we renamed auto enrollment to app. I'm gonna have to rename this to app deployment and integration or something like that. And well, Michelle helped me out. She said you have to go up to actually change the name. You have to go up here, customize names. And this is where I got lost, is that nothing showed up in here. So I had to go create new. And then when I went create new, then I could then select the one that I wanted and add in the name, and then it changed. But I actually wasn't fast enough to get that. So that's where you can actually rename it, which I know has been done on another video. I'd forgotten. So here's the guts, or the essence of what Michelle and Miriam and Matt and I came up with is, I think that this really wouldn't have any value, the type of business. And then banding, what we said is, what's the base price? Like, you got to pay to play, right? So if we're going to do any sort of app work, what's the minimum price? And I don't think I've quite set this up right, but it was basically a starting point. And then I haven't done this yet actually. So we then decided that we're going to have simple CRM app, and then we could have complex CRM app. So an example of that would be if you're going to be using Nimble CRM or Insightly CRM or some other simple CRM, that'd be fairly easy to do. Salesforce would be complex, and probably no one would be doing that, because Salesforce can be really super complex, and then it's almost not really within the scope of what the software should be able to handle. But I call it complex just to simply break them out into, is this an easy 5-hour integration, or is this a 50-hour integration? So we have some sort of delineation between the two. So again, I think we're going to have 2 rows: simple CRM app, complex CRM app. And then what came out of this is really we want to have categories of apps. So I simply went to the QuickBooks Online, or the app the App Store, and I'll probably use a lot of these to create my additional rows, and then I'll have simple and complex, and that's where I got that from. Because really what I want to do is, there's going to be an initial setup and then there's going to be training and deployment, and then there'll be ongoing support. And then you need to price according to what your clients are looking for. What I want to do is, if they pick, say, Nimble CRM, and Nimble has a reseller program, I want Nimble to bill me, and then I'll bill the client. So I could make 25% on whatever the price is. So for example, T-Sheets gives you 20% off their retail price. You can rebill it. That might not be something you want to do. The reason I'm interested in doing is it makes the client stickier to us. It's a little bit harder to pull away if they're paying one price and they get their bookkeeping plus their apps managed for them, etc., etc. So I'm also going to be valuing my price based on user. So, and these are not values that anyone should be using. I need to spend some time thinking about this. And this might be where I might go in and change, after I do these 2 things, I might go actually quickly change this pricing based on my discussion with the client and what their actual requirements are. So there's a big difference between this particular app, where there's not very many features, whereas this one, where it was actually fairly complex, right? And I think Mark's point last week was, it's impossible to come up with all the different scenarios. So if you build enough margin into your price, if you're off by a couple bucks here and there, it doesn't really matter too much. I think he didn't quite say that, but I think that's what he was implying. So for a simple CRM app, I might say, hey, at the unit price is going to be 25. For a complex CRM app, the unit price might be 50. And I'm just sort of making that up. I need to actually go and take a look at 2 or 3 different apps and build that out. And these, I call this for me, it's $500 just to do the analysis, to do this. Like going out and doing all that work for the client, we would charge $500 for a simple app and $2,500 for a complex app. You might add another one. You might have medium app, medium complexity, and like having 3 type thing, depending on your client's requirements. So I'm going to put this all in. I need to play around with this a little bit, but if we're using categories of apps, it helps me build in an infrastructure or build in a pricing model within the, I don't want to say constraints, but within how Mark's software works. Okay, and I'm probably going to get rid of all this because I don't think that it's really relevant. So let me just save it here. And then coming to expressing price, I want to express it monthly. We've got the different periods. I'm using a value-specific pricing model. I don't want to use banding because if you're getting charged per user, I want to be able to charge that back onto the client, and that includes, in my mind, the monthly cost of the app, as well as training and support. I might want to be building that in as well. Precise number of users was my specific value question. We didn't know what this was, specific value adjuster. I need to look that up. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. I said the minimum pay to play is $500. The maximum is $20,000. Okay. So I think that's pretty standard. And then, let me just work through this sequentially here. Behavior rewards. Mark suggested, if you get referrals, you get a 5% discount. I'm not totally sure if I'm a fan of that because I just find that you can get 3 referrals, but unless they're willing to change, like if they're happy with their current bookkeeper, they're not generally speaking going to change. You could try and pitch them on the apps, implementing apps into their business, and that might work from a referral perspective. But the one I came up with based on my own experience, if the CEO leads by example. So if the CEO is going to be leading by example by leveraging the app, then I'll give a 10% discount. Because if the CEO or the owner of the company is not doing this, it becomes very difficult to get the rest of the staff to follow suit. Because really it's all about changing the workflow of an organization. And typically that's met with a lot of resistance. And that's my experience. And we couldn't come up with any other behavior rewards, but we're open to anyone's got any ideas on that would be great. Optional extras. So what we did is, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, is we're going to have like the basic, medium, and premium pricing. And then the basic pricing, we're going to say, hey, it's just going to be a setup fee, and we want 50% of the money up front, and then it'll be a monthly fee for like 3 months or 12 months or whatever it's going to be. The medium price is going to be, we'll create videos for your staff to help them use the new app. And then the premium pricing would say, hey, anytime there's a change in, say, QuickBooks Online in the app, then we'll document all that for you. We'll do videos, and then we'll help bring those new features out to your staff through videos, emails, so that they're getting all the value they can from the app and from the accounting software integration. So what we said is, if someone's going to have a simple app and they just wanted the setup, but they didn't want to go for the medium or the premium, but they wanted ongoing training, like they wanted that premium component of ongoing training and videos and support, then that would be a unit price of $10 for the simple, and for the complex it'd be $25. Again, this was us fleshing out ideas. I think this passes the sanity test and is somewhat logical, but again, I need to actually play with creating some brochures or some packages and just seeing if it passes the sanity test. These might be a little bit too high, I'm not sure. The other thing I should mention too is when we do the app analysis, we always do an analysis on 3, and then the client really feels like we've done our homework, right? So that's the other thing I'll mention in these Google spreadsheets. So package components, there's something a little funky. I've got twice as many columns, not sure what's going on there. But anyways, and I couldn't reorder this. Oh, wait a second, maybe I can here. No. So I wanted to make it in sequential order, but I can't. But app analysis, criteria, and assessment, we'd charge a flat rate for that. So that's just for us to go out and do the research. Then there'd be an app deployment plan. There'd be employee communications and internal videos done. So we'll actually go learn the app, do some videos using Screencast-O-Matic, put them up as an unlisted video on the client's YouTube channel or our channel, and then give them those links. There'd be a one-time cost for that. There'd be a one-time cost for this. And then the next one would be deployment of app and initial training. So there'd be a cost for that. It might be bundled in with this one here. I'm not sure. But the premium version, we would have ongoing training support and help with any integration issues. So this alludes back to my earlier comment about, hey, you know what? As the app comes out with more features and integrations into your existing accounting system, we'll keep on top of that, provide the videos and the training for your staff so that you're getting the full value of that integration. And we would include that in our premium, but you can see it's a bit funky, which Mark will need to work on. And so that was basically our how we looked at setting up apps to make it work within Mark's software and still allow us to price apps out. And I think the other thing that's important to remember is that the more apps are integrated into your client's ecosystem, the less data entry work that there will need to be done. So actually your margin on your bookkeeping should go up. So in a sense, you're actually charging money to be more profitable, if you think about that for a sec, right? A quick example would be they have a POS, a point of sale system that's not integrated with QuickBooks Online or Xero. And so you have to do a manual journal entry every day of the sales, or a monthly one, I guess. Or if you have a direct integration, that you're not doing that journal entry anymore. It's done automatically through the app integration. So that just saves you however much time times the number of entries you have to do each month. So it's an incremental improvement in your profitability. So I think that's about it. The only other thing that we sort of quickly brought up is there is so I got to add some additional rows: simple CRM, complex CRM app. I got to do simple POS integration, complex POS integration. So I'll have 2 rows, and then I'll simply have some different prices. So I need to play around with this to get it working the way I want. But this is supposed to be my per unit cost. And that's about it. The only other thing I'll mention is Michelle did say she was interested in the value pricing tool from Bookkeeping Automation, which, I'll be perfectly upfront, this is my company. I am working with a bookkeeper to help them leverage technology, but I'm not actually a bookkeeper myself. But there is a value pricing tool that allows you to use the banding in Mark's software to come up with the right base price. So what this little plugin does that's free, works with QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, is it calculates the total volume of AP transactions over 2 years, total volume of AR transactions over 2 years, and total volume of bank and credit, we call them payment accounts, bank and credit card transactions over 2 years. And then what you can do is you can use that to say plug in 4 or 5 of your clients into that system, see what the number of transactions you have to do and how much you're charging them, and what you end up with is basically a transaction cost per client. And then you can take a look at those clients, and that might help you build a better banding price for future clients, because you might have a range of, and again, I'm making this up, $1 per transaction to $2 per transaction based on the different type of clients you have. And you might settle on, and again, I'm making this up, $1.50 per transaction, and you can build that into your banding platform. So that was just a tool that I know that Miriam and Michelle are interested in leveraging to help them build out their banding pricing on the not on the apps, but actually on the cloud bookkeeping software. So if you are interested, just send me a line, and we can certainly set you up with that, and that might help you build your banding pricing within Mark's software with maybe a greater degree of confidence. And that's about it. I will do some more. I think when I get this all flushed out and I've actually done some reports, then I can give 3 examples of that, but I'm not quite there yet. Just like all of us, I'm super busy. So again, next Thursday, 11 in the morning Pacific Standard Time, we're actually going to go over the cloud bookkeeping pricing, just because we want to compare what each person has within their own, within their own platform, so that, if Michelle's banding is set to this, maybe she can justify to us how she came up with that price and what that actually means, and then if we sort of sharing information, maybe we can get up and running faster and using the software, because it is a little bit overwhelming at first. Anyways, this is 20 minutes. I guess the good news is we end up talking for about an hour and 10 minutes, so this is the short version, and hopefully this helps some folks out with the whole app. The other thing we actually talked about too is that there's over 1,000 apps on the Intuit app marketplace, just as an example. And I think it's important to remember that if you find it confusing because there's so many apps and you're actually spending a little bit of time playing around with them, think how confusing it is for a client. So there's some serious value in helping a client navigate through all the apps and picking the best ones, picking the best ones for their business. And it's actually really hard because it's going to be good for them because it'll make them more efficient. It'll be good for you because you're more profitable. And like most business owners simply don't have the time. So it's a great way to provide extra value. The hard part is how do you get that monthly fee in there? And I think Mark answered that last week. It was, hey, I provide ongoing training, support, internal videos as new additional features get rolled out, and maybe you can charge an extra $5 to $10 a month per user, on addition to whatever the retail subscription fee is, and maybe you can make an extra $10 to $15 per month per user for doing that service. You got 20 staff, maybe you can make an extra couple $100 a month for doing that. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, hope everyone enjoys the video, and feel free to provide any feedback. All right, thanks a lot. Sorry, this is just a quick add-on that I forgot to sort of talk about. Some additional ideas I had, which I unfortunately didn't talk to Michelle, Miriam, or Matt about, is calculating the internal costs for basically entering data into different systems, right? Or because usually an app helps in the flow of data between different software applications. So here's the example I was talking about, where you have a number of hours spent doing payroll, hourly rates $20, add in the CPP, EI, add in fixed costs of rent, computer. I made these numbers up, right? But so basically it's $30 an hour times 20. So internally it costs them $600 a month to run payroll. And I'm just sort of ballparking. I'm saying, here's the basic pro and premium payroll module. So what are we going to do if it's going to cost them $600? Figure out the setup cost and amortize over 12 months. They maintain app and integration. Then said for the pro version, provide initial YouTube videos as per the requirements, plus everything in basic, plus 3 months support premium, and then premium might be we do the videos, customization and training, and help desk and product, and ongoing videos as app gets further integrated into QBO or Xero, right? So you always going to be putting out new videos as new features are coming out that integrate with the accounting system. So I didn't put this in, but I'm going to roll this somehow into package components. I'm going to roll that in somehow. I got to spend some time thinking about it. And I just did an example of entering data from the point of sale system into the accounting software. So I said number of hours spent. I said 15 minutes a day times 30 days is 7.5 hours a month. Again, your rate's 30 an hour. 30 times 7 is 7.5. It's actually $225 in this. I was actually thinking a very specific example, and they actually have 2 stores, so I multiplied by 2. So they got to do that is actually each day they got to spend 30 minutes entering in the point of sale data. So again, their soft cost is $450. So it's you're going to be saving them that soft cost, and then it's using that information plus this plus Mark's software to plus this to come up with a solution that works for that particular client. So I'll keep working at this, and maybe at the end we'll have sort of 3, 4, 5 videos about app pricing. All right, thanks a lot.